Alright everyone, our old friend Governor Phil Scott has decided he's seen fit to create another group for another purpose that then the taxpayers have to fund, one that seems a little bit nonsensical. And it turns out that the state's computers, that run all of the agencies and bureaus we've already got, have come under many cyber intrusions, attempted or otherwise, over the years, and so he decided to create a cybersecurity council. Now, what this generally is going to mean is that a bunch of dudes in suits that, one of them will know something about computers, they'll sit around and talk about contingency plans well after the fact. It's not actually necessary for this to be done. It's a waste of money. Like the article itself points out, none of these apparent attacks were actually successful, so I think our cybersecurity is doing fairly well. And if something comes along that's far more sophisticated, far more dangerous to the point at which you would need to have an actual official council to discuss the matter, chances are the damage is done long before they have a chance to actually do anything about it. Cybersecurity is one of those things that's probably best left to the private marketplace, because it seems like governments, no matter how filled with money their cybersecurity programs are, no matter how supposedly well-staffed they are, no matter how much you give them carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want with those computer systems, they seem to be far more prone to being intruded upon. Like if some hacker group can get into the Pentagon's computers, what the fuck do you think that a handful of people, not even a dozen people, sitting somewhere in Vermont managing state-level computers, how much more do you think it's going to be easy for those hackers to intrude in those systems? It's kind of pointless at this point. All we should be doing is preventing as much personal citizen data as possible from ever being stored on any government computers. That's number one. Number two, everything should be as decentralized as possible, so damage hopefully is more limited whenever possible. Number three, it should be up to private businesses to defend those computer systems, because there's a profit motive involved. If they do a shitty job, if they continuously allow the hackers in, so to speak, then they get canned, or they get fined, or they don't get paid. So there's a reason, but if you have some actual government group managing computers, it's like, well, the worst that had the bureau won't go anywhere because it becomes a sacred cow, because the citizens are convinced that it actually is doing its job when something catastrophic doesn't happen. You have to pay more and more and more. You're essentially, the taxpayers have to bribe the bureaucrats with larger and larger sums, because they'll take, if you give them an inch, they'll take a foot. It's just the way that government programs work. Give it to a private company, let them contract with the state. Pay them instead, it'll probably be cheaper, especially if you have multiple firms competing for that actual position. You'll get your free market equivalent value of that contract. The systems will be better defended, probably better than most of the systems you've got in DC. Private companies, they do so much better than governments do at shielding these things. By the way, that includes in foreign states. I'd like to let people know a little secret, something that I've thought of. The reason why you hear more about, the reason why it seems that other governments have better computer systems, like we've got better hackers, better security, and we're immune to everything. The reason why it seems that way is because in a lot of other states, you don't actually hear from the government at any point when there's been a data breach. Here, it's like they do it in a belated fashion, usually after some election when somebody has quit or already attained re-election, hoping that they'll kick the can down the road a few years. People forget by the next time they're up. It's like, oh yeah, sorry that millions of people's data was stolen. I would have told you before, but we had to have meetings about it. I know that you just re-elected me and shit, but I'm sorry about that. It's basically what happens here. If you have a data intrusion into government computers in China, like the US government, a group of hackers they're funding gets into one of their systems, they're not going to tell people, yeah, they're going to say China's strong. This was a big thing in the Soviet space program. For a while, it seemed like the US program was all sorts of messed up, but that's because we actually reported on it. Like, there was actually more openness. Yes, an astronaut died today during training. Yes, this rocket blew up. Everything was like televised. The Soviets, they hid it like a dirty secret and pre-recorded everything, and if it didn't go right, they never told anybody anything further about the test. There are all sorts of cosmonauts, supposedly, that sort of burned up in re-entry for the Soviets, and of course some of their systems were extremely flawed. But nobody ever knew about it at the time until the Soviet Union fell and a lot of that stuff was declassified. Oh yeah, our space program is basically junk compared to the US. We had twice as many casualties, but people didn't know it at the time, so it got people here nervous as well. So don't worry too much. All this mythical Nazi army, mythical like KGB army stuff, it's not actually intimidating these people in DC, I think, as much as they want you to believe. What they're trying to do is justify more spending. Again, they did this with, again, the space program and stuff. They did this with the 3-to-1 missile superiority the Soviets have. No, well, really, we've got missile superiority, but hey, we want to build more bombs. It'd be fun. We can do more tests. It'd be great. And record the footage. And all of our generals, they can get together and they can drink after they watch the bomb go off. It's good fun for everybody. Do some medical tests. Oh, what's the best way to scrub low levels of radiation? What's the best way to save livestock after it's taken a direct hit from a nuclear weapon? Stuff like that. So I don't think Phil Scott's little group of stuff shirts is going to particularly mean anything meaningful when it comes to Vermont cybersecurity. Why don't you just get a private company involved? Get what is IBM up in Burlington? Get them to guard your systems. Get them to get a group going and do the computer stuff, the internet sort of thing. As our president would say, the cyber. Get IBM involved with the cyber for the state of Vermont. That's about all. Peace out.